Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I am TJ Kern. That is my buddy Blake Hartsfield. Blake, another victory pod for the Red Raiders. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about in this edition of the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast, my friend. First and foremost, I was unable to watch the game on Saturday because I was in Blacksburg, Virginia at the famous Lane Stadium watching Louisville beat Virginia Tech. But my cousins graduated from Virginia Tech. They both were in the band at Virginia Tech. And then one of my cousins, her oldest son, is now in the band at Virginia Tech. So that's kind of a family trait there, being in the band out there at Virginia Tech. Got to see the famous Metallica Enter Sandman entrance by Virginia Tech. That was really cool. And I'm following the game on my phone, Blake. So Red Raiders pull out another one. First win over Kansas State in 10 years, Blake, and the first win in Manhattan since 2008. We both know how that season went for the Red Raiders, a very good one. And so, man, just walk me through what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, TJ, great job by the Red Raiders. I think they played a great second half to pull away from Kansas State there, but game starts off, and it was a little slow for the Red Raiders, off to a slow start. The offense was a little plodding. I think it was a combination of really conservative play calling for the first couple of drives and just Barron trying to get his sea legs underneath him, get his rhythm back after not having played for a couple of weeks. They don't do anything on offense in the first quarter. Kansas State did end up getting a touchdown. It was an Avery Johnson house call from about 40 yards out on like a third and I want to say like a third and 6. And it was a situation where the Red Raiders did the one thing we talked about them not doing, right? They fell for the eye candy. There was a motion across and a fake handoff, and then they lost, discipline on the edge contain and setting the edge, and Avery Johnson went untouched into the end zone. I think Wood probably ripped him a new one because for the rest of the game, there was gap integrity. There was discipline on setting the edge, and they really did a good job of kind of putting the clamps on Kansas State's offense throughout the day. They did have another good drive early in the third quarter to answer a score from the Red Raiders. But other than that, the Red Raiders really kind of shut them down. They forced 5 turnovers in this game, TJ. A defensive touchdown. So the defense really did their job, and then the offense kind of battled through the first half. They take a 12-7 lead with a field goal at the end of the first half. There, maybe a little. I saw on Twitter and not totally unjustified. A little bit of bad clock management from the Red Raiders and their 2-minute drill there, but I understand what they were accomplishing with letting the clock run down. They were trying to make sure Kansas State didn't get the ball back, which I don't totally hate on the road. And then in the second half, the offense got in rhythm. Barron started being able to complete some passes down the field, which opened up the running game. In the RPO game, they had a couple of RPO options to Terrence Carter that were big plays. And they really just pulled away from Kansas State in the second half to a resounding 43-20 win in Manhattan. They did cover, and just a really solid performance from the Red Raiders in that second half.
Yeah, and I was going to bring up the return of Terrence Carter. Man, what a weapon that guy is.
Yeah, he was great, TJ. Let me check the box score here. He finished with 4 catches for 81 yards, was a presence in blocking in the run game. Just you could feel the impact there. It was good to have, in my opinion, one of their best skill players back on the field.
And Jacoby Williams going over 100.
Yep. He had a bunch of explosive plays, TJ. It was 17 for 135, 7.9 a tote, so basically 8 yards a carry. He did have a breakaway run. I believe it was early in the third quarter. We had forced a turnover coming out of halftime, and then they got Jacoby loose, and he house called one. Cam Dickey, 21 for 68 on the ground. So the Red Raiders, as a team, rushed for 187 against K-State. That's pretty good against a defense that's stout against the run, has good linebacker play. Again, slow in the first half, but it really, in my opinion, mirrored the Utah game in a lot of ways, where it was a really competitive first half. And then you could just see it happened sooner in this game. It happened early in the third quarter coming out of halftime as opposed to in the fourth quarter against Utah. But the depth of the Red Raiders, their ability in the trenches just started to take control of the football game. And Kansas State really didn't have an answer for him there the end of the third quarter. And Kleinman talked a lot about it. He said it's a really good football team, really physical football team. They can run the ball, they can stop the run. He called Jacob Rodriguez the best defensive player they have played against all year in his press game conference. He forces another fumble in this game. The guy's just a one-man wrecking ball in the middle of the field for the Red Raiders. So just a really good performance up in Manhattan, and a good response to a lot of the doubt that had creeped in from some of the analysts about, after the Arizona State game. I was watching a lot of things last week. It was a trendy pick to pick K-State as an upset here. They were playing well coming into the game, and the Red Raiders, go on the road and took care of business.
Well, you know who didn't pick K-State?
Who's that?
The College Game Day crew, my friend. All of
Ah,
them picked the Red Raiders. The last person, good old Kirk Herbstreit said, and he set it up. I said, I'm picking Tech. He said, the football gods don't like this when we look ahead. And boy, were they looking ahead to this week's matchup against the Storm and Mormons of BYU, because he said, look, I'm picking Tech. It's going to be the screenshot. And then that's why Kansas State is possibly going to win today, because the football gods don't like it when we look ahead a week. Well, Blake, Red Raiders go ahead and take care of business. They get that dub in the Little Apple in Manhattan, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. College Game Day returns to the LBK for the first time since I was a student in the year 2008.
yep, TJ. They
They're
have
already
earned.
camping.
They are already Raiderville. I think I saw today. It has like over 20 tents already. And each tent is accounting for like 15 people that are like on a list, and they're just rotate. So like, there's excitement. TJ, this football team has earned the right to play in this game on Saturday. It is a top 10 matchup. I don't know if you just saw the college football playoff rankings that just got released about 10 minutes ago. The Big 12 got a lot of respect. BYU is 8, Texas Tech is 9 in those polls. Is it 7 and 8 or 8 and 9? Let me make sure that I'm. Give me just a second here. I'm sorry. BYU is 7. Texas Tech is 8. Ahead of Oregon, ahead of Notre Dame, and Utah checked in at 13. So the Big 12 got a lot of respect, but TJ, they've earned the right to play in this football game on Saturday against an undefeated BYU team. They deserve the spotlight that they're going to get from College Game Day. It is the best game on the slate for college football this week, and Herbstreit, basically said if Tech wins, we're going to Lubbock. If Tech loses, well, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Well, they took care of business, and frankly, TJ, I think that people are waking up to the fact that, and I've even seen a couple of the national media guys since we beat K-State have come out and said, look, when Texas Tech has had their quarterback, they've won every game by at least 20 points, which is true. And they're not just winning; they're annihilating teams. And they had it even in the one game they didn't have him when they needed him. They had a chance to win that game too. And we've talked about the Arizona State game. So credit to Joey McGuire, credit to this football team, because they've earned this and they deserve it.
Yeah, they'll be ready to play. I guess the one gripe that you could have with this game and game day being in town is the fact that it's an 11 a.m. kick. We kind of talked about that last week, but I don't like the fact that the students are going to have to, pick between do I stand in line for game day or do I stand in line to get into the stadium? Eh, I did see something today that game day is going to move inside the stadium for the last hour of the show.
Yep.
And there's a certain player that we love, like, that just so happens to have a bye this week.
It's got to be the guest picker, right? Has
Got
to
to be
be.
the guest picker.
Has to
My
be.
guy over my right shoulder, Pat Mahomes, will be in town.
My guy too.
And
He's not just your
he,
guy.
he might have one Andy Reid with him who played ball at BYU.
Well, if you believe the rumors, apparently there's also a belief that Travis and Taylor might be there. But look, I don't care who shows up to the game, TJ. We know
Sure.
Pat's going to be there. The team, and I think McGuire will do a good job of this. And I think he's already told his guys, you've earned the right to play in this game, I think was his exact quote in his post-game speech. in the locker room, and they're going to stay focused. I don't care if Taylor Swift shows up. I don't. There was At one point there was a rumor that JD Vance was going to be there as a favor to Cody Campbell. But I guess his schedule got changed. But there was like security meetings about a high VIP pro, and it was like JP or JD Vance, the vice president. But that's not happening anymore. Block out the noise, focus on BYU, because TJ, they
It's
had
a
a
good
bye week.
football team.
Well, they're a good football team, and they had a bye week this week, so they have been prepping for Texas. Kalani Sitake is a really good head coach. BYU is really well coached. And we're going to get into this. They win a bunch of close games and games that, frankly, they probably don't have any business winning, but they continue to do it. And they've had 2 weeks to prepare for the Red Raiders. So, from a preparation standpoint, it's edge BYU. From an environment, from a momentum, from a talent standpoint, it's edge Texas Tech. So block out the noise, focus on the football game, and I think Joey and the staff will do a good job of that this week and getting them prepared for this BYU team.
And I'm really excited because I'm going to be heading up to the LBK for the first time in a long time to see a football game. I have not seen a football game in the LBK since probably I was a student. Not
Long
sure the
time.
last time I've actually been to a Texas Tech football game. So I'm really, really looking forward to it. Shout out to my boy Kyle getting me some tickets there. Mr. AT&T for AT&T Jones Stadium was able to give me some tickets. And then our boy Michael, here at Scarlet and Black Nation, going to roll with me. We're going to go to the game and see this environment up close.
You're lucky, TJ. Have you seen the StubHub prices on the tickets for this week for this game? It's like I
I
think the
have.
cheapest ticket's like $450, $500 to get into the game. There was actually a post somebody was trying to trade. It got picked up on X and went viral, but
The
somebody on
puppy,
Red
the
Raiders,
golden doodle.
yeah, the Red Raiders sports post, somebody's trying to trade a golden doodle puppy for tickets to the game. So it's a hot ticket for
Very
sure.
hot ticket, man. And I can't wait to have Pat McAfee get up there and be yelling Raider power. And
He's gonna pick Tech. There's
oh, dude,
little
no,
doubt in
no
my
doubt
mind
about it.
he's gonna pick Tech.
Dude, they're gonna get to Lubbock and they're gonna go to Las Brisas and they're gonna get them some steaks and they're gonna fall right in love with good old LBK.
Yeah.
So I can't wait, man. The environment is going to be insane. I know when in 2008 when Game Day was there, I was there.
So was
Um,
I. So was
were
I.
you at Game Day? I know you
I,
went to the game.
I was a yeah. I was at, so I was a junior in high school. My dad obviously went to Tech, and my whole family went to Tech. He grew up in Lubbock, and so my grandmother still lived there. And I remember getting up at my grandmother's house at like 3 in the morning to drive to campus to go get to in line to get into Game Day. So I was at Game Day, and then obviously went to the game that night with my dad.
That is awesome. And I was working for the radio station at the time and was out in the crowd with like kind of a boom mic, just kind of trying to talk to people and pick up little small interviews here and there of people in the crowd and kind of giving little one hits as to different signs that I saw and things like that. So what a time. And then, of course, we all know who won the game that night, the Harold or Crabtree play. But man, I think this is just the beginning, Blake. We've talked about it all year long about the momentum and the power void, yada, yada, right? Like all the recruits that are going to be there, including one Kavian Bryant, who came out another in-game commit. This is starting to be a Red Raider trend.
5
If you're
stars.
another
He's committing.
school, if you're another school and you're in the running and the guy announces that they're going to make their decision and you look at the calendar and it just so happens to be halftime of a Texas Tech game, you're out. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's a wrap.
for sure. He's a Red Raider. No, I
And
think
and to your credit, you have been very outspoken about Kavian Bryant, being a two-sport athlete, about Kavian Bryant possibly getting to play both sports at Texas Tech, and about Kavian Bryant being done for weeks.
I said it 3 months ago. It was done, but it is what it is. They had to they dot the i's and cross the t's on that recruitment. But TJ, I think you did a good job kind of setting the table for this game. We talked about it before the Utah game that That was an opportunity to announce yourself on a national scale, right? With all the hype and the recruiting and the transfer portal, and we said you needed to show up, and they did, and they've gotten the benefit of the doubt with their loss. They didn't plummet in the rankings. They're still very highly regarded, I think, on a national scale. Obviously, the committee, the one that shocks me when I look at these playoff rankings, TJ, is that they're ahead of Oregon. I expected to be ahead of Notre Dame. I would have rolled my eyes if they'd have put Notre Dame ahead of us, but being ahead of Oregon, we probably deserve it. We have a better win on our resume with the win at Utah, who came in at 13 in the poll, than anything Oregon's got to date. But they're getting the respect. This game is another one of these opportunities, right? Where one, you win the game and you're basically in the Big 12 title game, assuming you don't slip up at home to UCF or at West Virginia. I don't think that's going to happen. I think those are two layup games, for a lack of better word. You're going to show up and win those two football games. So you have an opportunity to play your way into the Big 12 championship game. But again, the entire college football world is looking at you, right? With all of the hype, with all of the momentum that you've got, you got to show up and win this football game and play at home. TJ, they're a 10.5 point favorite in a top 10 matchup. So for those that gamble, right? If it's a 10.5 point line, that's Vegas coming out and saying Texas Tech is going to win this game. Like, that is what they're saying with a 10.5 point spread. And again, these are two top 10 teams, and you're a 10.5 point favorite. So it's an opportunity to continue this momentum, to make a good showing on a national scale. TJ, I don't know if not only is game day there, but it got announced today that Fowler and Herbstreit are going to be on the call. So I guess
Are they?
yeah, they're going to be on the call. I don't know if they're also going to fly them immediately out of the game after the game to go call LSU and Alabama that evening at 6:30.
That would be highly
I think it's likely that they put them on a jet and get them to Tuscaloosa to call that game as well. But
double
they are.
duty.
It's happened before with ESPN. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but they did announce that those two are on the call at 11. So
Okay.
it is an opportunity on national television. And you can just continue to build your brand. And that's the biggest thing, is brand building with all of the realignment and everything that we've talked about. So it's a huge opportunity.
And getting these guys to Lubbock to see the facilities and everything else that we've been raving about all year
Game
on
day
this
will
podcast.
highlight all of that. I guarantee it.
So, man, it's really exciting. It's an exciting time to be a Red Raider. And Blake, let's get into it. You mentioned that 10.5 point spread, and BYU is a good football team. I know they're 19-2 in the last 2 years, but most of their wins are pretty close.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, I don't care, just win the games," right? Like, you give me 19-2, I'll take it. But I watched a little clip of a podcast today. Said they haven't played a team as talented as this Texas Tech team in like 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens come Saturday. And their running back Martin will be playing. I did see that. So, but it's been tough to run the ball in this defense.
Yeah.
And so if you can get these guys into passing situations and let your big dogs eat, I mean, with Baron Morton back, having a week under his belt, I like the fact that he came back and played last week, and he's played well at home all year. Played well at home is pretty much his entire career. So looking forward to this game on Saturday, Blake. And man, it's just such a great time as an alum, as a fan, as a student, right? The energy around the program is something that we could only have dreamed of a couple years ago before Joey was brought in. And now look at us. The whole college football landscape is back in the LBK, and I'm just fortunate enough that I'm going to be there this weekend and get a chance to watch. So looking forward to it, man. And again, a lot of high-profile recruits are going to be in the building, so it's a big game. And if, like you said, Vegas has it as a double-digit spread already. So I don't care if you cover, just win, baby, win. Al Davis. So let's get into it a little bit, man, because you know, speaking of the spread, my guy Vegas Blake has been killing the the Red Raider picks here at 8-1 on the year, whether or not to cover or not cover, uh, while he makes his Red Raider picks. Blake, we want to have a little bit of fun on here. Since you've been doing so well with your Vegas Blake Tech picks, why don't we open this up a little bit, and you've prepared some picks for us, and we'll see how you do.
You want all the picks now, or do you want to talk about the? You want me to talk about the BYU Tech game first with the pick there?
Go ahead and pick the BYU game first, and then we'll get
Okay.
into your other picks.
So TJ, you hit a lot of the things with BYU. This is a football team. First off, I really like this coach. Stataki is. I watched his press conference the other day to do a little research on BYU, and I do that every week. I try to watch the opposing coaches Monday at press conference, and he was very complimentary of Tech. Most coaches are, but I just the way he composes himself, he handles himself, and the way he talks about his football team and other football teams. I think this is a good BYU team, TJ. I think that they punch above their weight a lot. They see the joke I've seen is that God loves the Mormons because they continue to find themselves in these close games, and they find ways to win in crazier and crazier ways. They win against Colorado earlier this year on the road in overtime. They win at Arizona in overtime. And I'm still like, I don't know how good they are, right? They're struggling with kind of the bottom of the league there. And then the game that really impressed me was the Utah game a couple of weeks ago. I did watch that game, TJ. Now, they did play at home, and that certainly helps. But um, I was impressed with their offensive line's ability to control that football game. We know that Utah's good on both lines and really good in the trenches. And BYU was able to hold their offensive line, kind of controlled the game against their defensive line, and they didn't generate much pressure on Utah. Utah was able to run it for 200, but we know that Utah's got 2 first-round tackles that we talked about. But just their ability to compete in the trenches with Utah impressed me. And then they took another step, right. They followed that up going on the road at Iowa State. They fell behind by double digits early. And their freshman quarterback leads them back. He throws for 300 yards on Iowa State, and they win 41-27. So they win going away. I think this is a game that the Red Raiders should win, TJ. I think that um, while I think BYU is good on the offensive line, I think they've not played a front like this one, and Stataki even talked about that a little bit. So if your defensive line does what they do, and this defense does what they do. Part of what makes BYU good on offense is because they're so balanced and they're multiple, right? They can run the ball with the running back. They can run the ball with this quarterback who's a unit, right? He's 6'4" and 235 pounds, and
True
um,
freshman, by the way.
true freshman. He's not fast, but he's big and strong and hard to tackle. He's not slow, but he's not fast. This isn't an Avery Johnson. This isn't a Dampier. He's slower than Levitt. Like, he's not fast, but he's the biggest quarterback that can run that they will have played against. But I think that what makes them good is that he can run it. The running back can run it. Then they get the play action game going, and they've got 2 receivers who can make some plays on the outside. So I think if this defense can control the running game, which they've done all year against everybody they've played. They shut down Utah. They shut down Kansas State. They shut down Arizona State from running the ball. Everybody that they've played, no one's been able to run the ball on the Red Raiders. So if that continues, and you can get them, like you said, into 3rd and longs, I think you can get pressure on that quarterback and rattle him. While Iowa State is a tough place to play when they're good, I'm not convinced Iowa State's very good this year. They continue to lose football games. This will be his biggest test in his career on the road against a good team. And I think that matters. He's got some learning to do. I think you can get him to make a couple of hurried mistakes with pressure. And then offensively, TJ, for the Red Raiders, BYU's defense is opportunistic. They're really good at like you, at taking the football away and creating turnovers. Um, on the back end, they love to play a lot of man, similar to Utah. So I think there's going to be opportunities to get down the field and take shots. They've got 2 really good corners, but they don't have a 3rd corner. They've had a rotating door at the slot corner. So I think this could be a Coy Eakin game over the middle. This could be a Terrence Carter game over the middle. And then I do think you can take some shots on the outside to Virgil and Douglas down the field. But the thing that I'm most looking forward to, TJ, is they're not great against the run. They give up. Utah ran for 200 on them. They're I think they're in the bottom 50 in run defense. They give up over 6 yards a carry. So if you can establish the run and make life easy for Baron Morton, this is a game the Red Raiders should be able to pull away in. I do think it will be competitive into the third quarter, similar to K-State, similar to Utah. But again, I think at some point during the game, the advantage you have in the trenches is going to start to show itself. 10 and everybody's all freaking out about this 10.5 point line. It opened at 8.5. It's already moved to 10.5. So the public thinks Tech is going to win and win big. TJ, I don't think it's enough. I think the line should be closer to 13 or 13.5. That's not in me trying to be disrespectful to BYU at all. I think that they're a really good football team, but I just think this is a matchup the Red Raiders it should be able to. It is a good matchup on paper for the Red Raiders. They can run the ball. BYU struggles to stop the run. BYU relies on the run, and that's something that Texas Tech is really good at cutting off. So I think Tech wins. I think Tech covers, and I will predict a 37-17 win for the Red Raiders on Saturday morning in a statement to the rest of the college football world, and a statement to the Big 12 that there is a new sheriff in town, and it's Texas Tech.
Boy, you got me excited. Is the game tomorrow?
I
Man,
wish.
Vegas, Blake coming out with a Texas Tech blowout. 37-17, a 20-point win on Saturday. And I know Red Raider Nation would be thrilled with that. The rest of the nation would be put on notice, as you mentioned. And man, like I said, you've done really well on your Vegas Blake segments with the Red Raiders. And we decided we were going to have some fun and make you do a little extra research and give us some more picks, man. So have at it.
This is a new official segment, right? We're going to start
Yeah,
doing this
we're
moving
good.
forward.
Vegas
The
Blake.
Vegas. Okay. So they're NFL and college football picks here, TJ. I do. If people want to tail these, by all means, please do. So I gave you the Tech minus 10.5. Then I'll give you the two other college picks I like. So Houston is going on the road to UCF this weekend. UCF just got embarrassed by Baylor, and I don't think Baylor is particularly good. Houston is coming off a loss. I think they had a little bit of a letdown game at home against West Virginia. TJ, they're only a 1.5 point favorite on the road against UCF. I love the Cougars in this spot in a bounce back. I think they win this game comfortably against UCF. So give me the Houston Cougars minus 1.5 away at UCF. And then the other it's another Big 12 pick. I don't really like any of the SEC or Big 10 game lines this week. So the other college pick that I'll give you, it's a total. It's not a spread, but Kansas and Arizona play Saturday night in Tucson, out in Arizona. It is 56.5, TJ, on the total there. I like the over. I think that's going to be a shootout. Kansas does not have a very good defense. Both teams can score and move the ball up and down the field. It should be a fast track, in the desert still. It's not going to be cold yet. So give me over 56.5 in the Kansas and Arizona game on Saturday night. And then I've got two NFL spots here that I really think are just objectively bad lines. One of which I think our listeners, if they want to get on it, need to get on it quickly. And that is the Jaguars at the Texans. It is currently the Texans minus 1.5. So the Jaguars are getting 1.5 here on the road. TJ, they've already beaten Houston once this year in Jacksonville, and I don't think CJ Stroud is going to play. He's in concussion protocol. He took a pretty nasty hit in their game against the Broncos.
That hit
And
was
I think
nasty.
it was a kind of a late dirty hit from the Broncos, in my opinion. He even had, when he was laying on the ground, he even had the Tua finger thing from a couple of years ago going on. So I think it's 95% that he doesn't play this week. So you're going to have a backup quarterback in Houston, and the Jaguars are currently getting points. I'd jump on this before Thursday when the first official injury report comes out. And if he's listed as doubtful, I do expect this line to cross 0. And by the time it kicks off, I think the Jaguars will be favored. I would take this in the Jaguars up to 2.5. If it switches all the way, even if they were a 2.5 point favorite, I'd still take it. But jump on the Jaguars plus 1.5. And then the last one, TJ, I just don't understand this one. It's the Rams and the 49ers on Sunday afternoon out in San Francisco. TJ, the 49ers are getting 3.5 at home. So they're a home dog to the Rams. They've already beaten the Rams once this year in Los Angeles. Okay. They historically have been really good against McVay. You know, Shanahan and McVay, I think more often than not, the 49ers get the better of this matchup. And they're getting 3.5 at home. You're getting over a field goal. Jump all over the 49ers. I think that's probably my bet of the week.
Bet of the week from Vegas, Blake. You heard it right here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. And before we get out of here, Blake, it is basketball season officially tonight. Red Raiders are playing some school, Lindenwood, baby. And the Red Raiders are up 58-30 at the half.
Without four rotation players. They don't have JT Toppin. They don't have Bam, the center. They don't have Mosley, and they don't have LeJon Watts. So they're playing a bunch of the young freshmen, and obviously they're up 58-30 at the half. TJ, this is Lindenwood's first year as official NCAA as an NCAA team. They just moved up. This is expected, but they are doing it. It should be noted they're doing it without four rotation players.
Definitely. The man, basketball season's here. We're excited. I know we've been talking a lot about this football team with everything that's been going on there, but we will be all over this basketball team as well, coming soon here on the Scarlet and Black Nation podcast. But Blake, that pretty much does it for this edition. And I will be reporting next week after I get back from LBK. So I'll have all the insights on game day and the game and the atmosphere and all that. So I'm looking forward to that. And how do we get out of here, man?
Wreck 'em.
We'll talk to you guys next week right here on the Scarlet Black Nation podcast.